Oh, yes.
Welcome back, everyone. Today I'm doing a review for the brand new Transformers War for Cybertron Kingdom Wave 4 Deluxe figure, Waspinator. Waspinator comes in at number 34 in the Kingdom line, which is odd because his wave mate Shadow Panther's 31, so there's a gap of 2 characters in there for some reason. If I had to guess, those are probably the 2 Deluxes that got moved from Wave 4 to 5, so I would expect to see those guys be numbers 32 and 33. And just like Shadow Panther, I got this figure from a Canadian e-tailer that I won't do business with again because turns out when you check out with them from a US residence, the Canadian dollar amount magically transforms to a USD amount, so the price goes up significantly, and I didn't realize that until after I placed the order. I just took the loss. I'm like, well, it's ordered, fine, just not going to do that again. So won't be doing business there anymore. That is some underhanded stuff right there. Anyway, if you've seen my reviews before, you know this goes. We're going to take a look at Waspinator's packaging, then we're going to open it up, we'll see his golden disc card inside, we'll see the instructions, and then we'll see Waspinator himself in both his beast and robot modes. Naturally, I'll be doing plenty of group shots and comparisons today, and then at the end of the video, I'll give my final thoughts. So Waspinator comes in your standard deluxe class packaging for Kingdom. You get your half window showing off the toy there. Stretching across the front to the side, you get the artwork of Waspinator in both beast and robot modes. And I really like the way that art turned out. Nice vivid colors there. There's the toy's number and branding and all that stuff. Then on the back, we get renders of Waspinator, looking a little flatter than the finished product. Actually, I like the physical copy more. But you see they have him in beast mode, robot mode. He takes 20 steps to transform, which is ironically the same number of steps as Shadow Panther. Get your Kingdom side panel here. That's it for the box. So a big focus of this review today is going to be comparing Waspinator to his previous toys, both the original Beast Wars toy and the Thrilling 30. Because much like Rhinox, I have some consultation as to whether or not this toy is actually an improvement over the Thrilling 30 toy. Haven't had it in hand yet, so we're going to find out together. And, during my final thoughts, I'm really going to focus on whether this thing is worth picking up as a replacement for your Thrilling 30 or your Beast Wars toy. So with all that said, let's crack this thing open. So here's our Unicron card, and I've already gone and confirmed this is the exact same one that came with Shadow Panther. So I'm not going to peel this one back. I'm going to hold on to it and potentially trade it to someone for a card I don't have. So if you want to see what it looks like behind the sticker, just check out the beginning of the Shadow Panther review. But it's the one where Unicron devours Cybertron. So there's that. Next, we get the instructions for Waspinator. See his name right here. Render the toy right in the middle. All your branding, Predacon symbol, number. Here, this shows you how to have him wield his little blaster thing. And then we go straight to the transformation to the Wasp mode. His blaster is actually integrated into his thorax, unlike a lot of the Kingdom toys, sadly, where they just kind of tack the weapons onto the beast mode, which is an approach I absolutely hate. And going to really rail on that when Tigertron comes out. But there you go, that's the finished product for the Wasp mode. Okay, now we can see the Wasp mode here in person, and I'm going to say I love it. I think it came out very, very well. Not only do the proportions just look fantastic and the shape's really good, the thorax section is very organic looking, very nice. The head, for the first time ever, actually has working mandibles. Look at that. That's really cool. So you make them talk, right? You can move the head up and down, which is also a first for the character, in his Wasp mode. So, you can make him a lot more expressive than you can in any of the previous toys. So I really dig that. The eyes look really, really nice. It's very well molded little bumps here. It's painted this like metallic purple color. And the wings are a translucent purple. And when I had first seen pictures of this, I thought that was wrong, right? I'm like, oh, that's so inaccurate. Why they give him the purple wings? It looks bad. Actually, when you go back and you look at Waspinator's show model, his wings are purple. They're just very, very see-through purple. But when you see them reflecting light, they actually come off as this purple color, not just plain clear. So while these are, a good deal darker than they are in the show model, they at least get the color right for the first time. Also, I want to make a correction. I said that this is metallic paint. It's not. This is actually a clear purple piece too, this whole head assembly right here, and then it's just got green paint around the eyes. So yeah, let me make that correction there. Yeah, I dig this a lot. It came out very well. The robot kibble, I mean, it's going to be there. It's always going to be there, but it is tucked away fairly well, and it makes for a very wasp-like shape, so I really dig that. You can see the hands here, but they're kind of like up inside the abdomen area there, so it's not as egregious as the Thrilling 30 toy that we'll see in a second. So, yeah, I'm really surprised with how well the beast mode turned out, because I didn't think I was going to like it very much. Okay, here we have a group shot with the other two Waspinator toys that have been released over the years. On the left, you have the original mold, and this is specifically the 10th anniversary edition, so it's got a bit more of a show-accurate color scheme than the OG, like, 1996 toy. Then you get the Thrilling 30 Waspinator, which was a pretty good update to the original design, especially when it came to the robot mode. And then, of course, our new guy, the Kingdom Waspinator. Now, the first thing I'll say is, as far as just outright accuracy to how a wasp looks, as far as the proportions and the body shape, the Kingdom one's really killing it. And for the most part, Kingdom has leaned more toward realistic beast modes, so that's not too surprising for me. The original toy, while it is a classic, and honestly quite big compared to today's Deluxes, this would be like a Voyager size in today's market, obviously takes a lot of liberties with that wasp mode. You can see how the robot legs become the hind legs, and they look very, very unnatural. So I'm going to say, really not a great beast mode. In my opinion, Waspinator's beast mode was one of the weakest in the original Beast Wars line. And then our Thrilling 31 here gets a lot closer to looking like an actual wasp, but it's really got a bad problem with kibble, especially the arms. They're just right there, sticking out of the side, hands just hanging out by the thorax. Really, I will say it's better than the original, but it is pretty compromised by the design they came up with for the transformation. On the plus side, it does have a really nice little wing flapping gimmick that's not very intrusive, so I don't mind that very much. So not bad by any means. Definitely the weaker mode. His robot mode is a lot better looking. And he does at least have like 6 actual insectoid limbs going on here. And a nice little stinger, though it's a bit pronounced. So not too bad. And honestly, the clear wings do look a lot more natural than the purple ones. So he's a bit more of a toss-up compared to our Kingdom figure. Though I think overall I do kind of favor the Kingdom one a little bit more. Even if the purple wings don't look like something you'd see on an actual wasp. Okay, now it's time to transform Waspinator. So the first thing you want to do is remove his stinger weapon from the thorax. Just like that. It's much simpler than previous ones, just a little single piece of yellow plastic. I'll touch more on that. Then you're going to pull the legs free. Pull everything out, stretch it out. Pop this section free from the thorax area, like so. You're actually going to spin it around like this. Straighten out the feet. Heel spurs flip back here. You're going to want to rotate these back a little bit so they're like out of the way, like so. Then you're going to untab his robot arms. They have this little tiny, I think it's a 3mm, no, smaller, almost like blast effect attachment size little peg right there that plugs in here, and you kind of have to work it to get it in there because it's a pretty tight fit. It's not too bad though. So you get the other one free. Go ahead, straighten out the arms, get them all normal looking, like so, like so. All right, then you're gonna pull this section out and like just kind of fold it back up into this insect shell area. All right, rotate the arms, rotate the fists in a more natural position. The arm kibble kind of up and out of the way. Then, let's see, open that. I'm gonna bring this pelvic section up, and it's gonna plug in this little slot area here, like so. So get everything nice and pretty here. And the last thing you want to do is pull the insect head apart like this. Okay. Straighten up the wings. All nice. Here we go. This is Waspinator's robot mode. And of course, he has his weapon here he can place in his fist. Just to complete the look. And there he is. All right, let's check out how poseable he is. So the head is, as usual, on a ball joint. Fairly tight one. Not too bad. He's got the universal shoulders, which is nice. Bicep swivel, single bent elbows. He's got the wrist swivel. He has waist swivel, which is really cool. I mean, it's not completely a 360 one because the mandibles kind of get in the way of that. But, you know, he can turn enough to have, like, natural posability anyway. He has universal hips. There's a very high thigh swivel up here. Single bend knees. He has ankle tilt and rocking. So, quite posable. And then, of course, his wings are on ball joints, so they can be posed however you like them to be. They can look either, you know, at rest or flying or just emoting in some way. So, yeah, I mean, as far as being an action figure, he's got everything you'd expect from a War for Cybertron toy. So he's not lacking in any capacity there. Some, I guess, criticisms, or at least things worth pointing out. One thing I really don't like is the weapon. It doesn't do much to distinguish itself from just being the insect stinger. There's no barrel on it. It doesn't really look like any kind of blaster. Now, they have some sculpted detail on the underside that kind of sort of look like a gun barrel. But, I mean, it's so tucked away and, you know, so barely noticeable. You'd probably just think that that's, like, just structural lines for the plastic. And, yeah, I mean, the weapon's pretty lackluster. I think Thrilling 30 did a really good job where they had a flip-out barrel for it. And I wish this guy would have done something very similar. The other big thing, and it's not so much a criticism, but worth pointing out, they move around the leg kibble. Waspinator's original toy in his show model had 2 sets of insect legs on his arms and then nothing on his legs. Now, the original toy was able to do that because his robot legs were the rear insect legs, as goofy looking as they were. So, you know, they didn't have an extra actual pair of little spindly legs to tuck away anywhere. And the show model copied that. Well, when you go back and try to redesign him, both back during Thrilling 30 and now, and you want to give him proper wasp legs, that extra set of legs has to go somewhere. Now, the Thrilling 30 toy opted to just put the extra set right there on his robot legs. This one actually reverses it, has 1 pair on his arms and 2 pairs on his legs. So that is a hit for accuracy. And if that's a big thing you care about, as far as the show accuracy, that might bother you a little bit. Plus, I can see some clearance issues coming from the leg kibble, because this is as far back as they rotate. There's a hard stop right there, so that's as far out of the way as they get. You can't really do much else with them. So I can definitely see that get in the way of like his arms and wings and stuff. But as far as judging the toy for what it is, it's really fantastic looking. The sculpting is really well done. The paint is really well done. Look at his face right here. That is definitely the most accurate Waspinator face I've ever seen. And it's really, really well painted, too. In fact, I think the face piece is also clear purple plastic, like the back of the head. So, really, the eyes are the only bit of plastic you see. Then all the rest of this is paint, and it's really well done. It's not sloppy. The lines are nice and fine. I really dig that. I should point out his antennae are technically articulated, too. They can move around a little bit in little, like, ball joints. So, yeah, I mean, for what he is, I think he looks really good. I think his colors are probably the closest we've ever come to show accuracy. Like, yeah, the wings are a little dark, but I think he otherwise nails it. Okay, now we get our robot group shot with the other Waspinators. And you can see that our 2 newer figures end up looking much more similar to each other than the old toy. Now, to be fair, the old toy, you know, was doing its own thing, and the show design was based off of that. So you can't fault this for not having tune accuracy, because the tune really just fails to have toy accuracy. Of course, the Beast Wars cartoon was so quintessential to the Transformers fiction and Beast Wars fiction that virtually every depiction of the characters after the fact focused heavily on their cartoon appearance. And that's what you see here with toys that are proportioned and designed much more in line with the actual cartoon. One thing that's worth pointing out is that our Kingdom figure is the smallest of the 3, which is actually keeping in line with the general downscaling of toys since War for Cybertron started. Now, normally I'd say, well, the trade-off for this is you get, greater posability, but his posability isn't that much better than the Thrilling 30 toys. Like, he gets ankle rocking, and I don't think Thrilling 30 has waist articulation. So he does get that. He gets the ankle rock, he gets the waist articulation. But then outside of that, Thrilling 30 toy has everything else that he has. Plus, he has an actual working like wing flapping gimmick that works in both modes. And I would say probably has a higher part count. I'm not going to disassemble them and check piece by piece, but I'm not so sure that the value of plastic and engineering really quite matches up between this guy and this guy. Not to mention that, this toy was $22, $23, whereas the Thrilling 30 was closer to about $15. So those are some things to take into consideration when considering the value of the toy. Hard to say if he really matches up in value to the Thrilling 30. There's definitely pros and cons to each one. I talked about the kibble thing, and you can see the original toy, no leg kibble, some leg kibble, lots of leg kibble. So that is another thing that might kind of turn you off to this. The one thing he gets right a lot more than the Thrilling 30 toy is the colors. His colors are just far more accurate to Waspinator's show model, including the purple eyes, purple wings, the shoulders, all that stuff, the shades of green used. Now, you could, if you want a more show-accurate version of this mold, get the Japanese Legends version, which strives to be, a bit more screen-accurate with color choices, though it still really doesn't match up to just the colors used for this guy. He really knocks it out of the park. I will also say that his leg design here, these little ridges that he comes with, they're definitely the most show-accurate of the three. The original Waspinator just had painted designs on his shins, which the cartoon translated as actual, ridged surface details. The Thrilling 30 toy took kind of a more stylized approach to it and made it look almost kind of like rib cages on his legs, but this more stacked looking design is much more similar to what Waspinator had in the show. So again, there's a lot of give and take here. There's some things that he is closer with, there's some things he's further away with. I will say, I think his weapon just stinks. There's really no good way to describe it. It's really puny looking. It doesn't even look like, it looks like he just ripped off part of the Wasp mode and is using that. The original toy, he, instead of a barrel, gets missiles that come from the bottom of his wings, which the show translated into just like a regular gun barrel. The Thrilling 30 comes the closest to actually depicting that, where it gets this little stinger-like gun barrel thing here that flips out. So the original toy, the weapon's a little bulky with the missile. Now you can take the missile out, and it still looks more like an actual firing weapon, right? It still looks like some sort of a gun, whereas, again, this just looks like a chunk of a wasp. So there's so much comparison here, and there's so much that's better and worse in some ways. It's really tough to say. Now, in my personal opinion, I think that overall, the New Kingdom toy is the best Waspinator toy. Despite the fact that, they take some liberties with the design when it comes to the leg kibble and all that, and despite the fact that I'm really not impressed with the weapon, he does just feel like a more satisfying Waspinator to me, and really does fit in with the New Kingdom toys a lot more than the Thrilling 30 does, who is significantly too tall for, modern Transformers. And then the original toy, I've never been a huge fan of the original Waspinator toy. And I think the only reason Waspinator is as popular as he is as a character, it's not because his toy was good, because I really don't think it's a very good toy. It's very, very floppy. Every version I have of this mold is just not great. The show made Waspinator popular. If he hadn't been in the show and hadn't been depicted as the lovable goofball, who the universe hates so much that he is, I don't think anyone would have cared for this. Especially the original toy where he had a gray insect head and stuff. So yeah, I'm going to say that Mainframe Entertainment was the saving grace for Waspinator. Otherwise, he would have just been forgotten to history. He would have been a nobody. So I can't say I really recommend this toy very much, at all. It's just not a great figure. And these two, again, little closer. But at the end of the day, I feel that the Kingdom one just wins out just a little bit. But that is so close and so subjective that, I'm just stressing that as my take. And you may disagree, and I wouldn't blame you for disagreeing, because it's hard to not like the Thrilling 30 toy too. That toy does a lot right. So yeah, I'm going to say Kingdom Waspinator wins out by a hair, in my opinion. And this is going to complete our look at the new Transformers Kingdom Waspinator toy. Overall, I really like the way this toy came out. The only thing that I personally dislike about it, again, is the weapon. I think they could have done a lot more with it. A little flip-out barrel would have been perfect for this. I mean, they've done it before. They should be able to do it again. The moved around kibble doesn't bother me too much because the insect kibble is always kind of a minor detail to me. At least they got the colors right. One of the things that bugged me about the Black Arachnia toy was that they opted to change the color of her legs for no real reason whatsoever. So I'm glad they got the colors right on this guy. That is something that, I personally find very important. As you could tell, I was a little more torn with this toy as far as comparing it to its predecessor than I am with Rhinox, which I probably shouldn't say because I haven't finished that review yet. So finishing this review, honestly, it just gives me the imperative to actually get around to finishing Rhinox. He's one of the many, many toys I have on the back burner right now. So I do want to discuss that in more detail. But I guess I'll spoil a little bit and say that for this guy, he's much more of a toss-up than the obvious answer I'm going to have for Rhinox. So I really like him. Obviously, I like Waspinator as a character. I love Scott McNeil as a voice actor. I mean, he's just so talented, and he voiced, like almost half the Beast cast anyway. So this is a good toy to add to your collection, especially if you don't have the Thrilling 30 version. If you have the original toy, I would say this one is clearly an upgrade over that because I'm just not super fond of the original Waspinator. Kind of the same way I feel about like the original G1 Starscream toy, which, some people are like, oh, that's blasphemous. Like, I don't think they're good toys. Great characters, terrible original figures. So if you don't already have Thrilling 30, 100% recommend picking this guy up if you're a fan of Beast Wars at all, or if you like just cool designs. The Wasp mode is the best I've seen in my opinion. The robot mode is about neck and neck with Thrilling 30. So yeah, if you haven't already, I would try to track this guy down. He's starting to show up in U.S. retail stores now, mostly on the West Coast, but you know how that goes. It'll hit the Cali and Washington and all that first, then it'll make its way east. So just be on the lookout, or you can possibly import it from like Canada, but wouldn't use the one I used, honestly. So yeah, highly recommended figure. Hopefully you'll be able to find one soon. If you do, I think you'll really enjoy it. Of course, that is just my opinion on Waspinator. Now I want to know what you all think of this toy. Does he meet your expectations as an upgrade to the character? Do you think he's better than or worse than previous versions? Do you like this character? You're not interested in him, either because of him or because of Beast Wars? Any and all feedback's always welcome in the comments section. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to toss it a like. Let YouTube know you want to see more stuff like this. If you do want to see more like this, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you always get a heads up when I post something new. I thank you for joining me for this look at the brand new Transformers War for Cybertron Kingdom Waspinator. And with all that said, I will see you next time.